Hello and welcome back. It's puzzle time with Sudoku Sleuth, and today we're going to be playing Lucky. Now, I could have gone with a few different thumbnails given this particular puzzle. I do actually have another one that I thought fits it a bit better, where essentially Sleuth is surrounded by a whole bunch of different lucky charms, clover leaves, horseshoes, which I think is being referenced in today's puzzle. But I just really like the idea of Sleuth visiting a fortune teller, and there's a bunch of tarot cards and what looks almost like, I'm sure many of you have seen Harry Potter, almost like a prophecy inside some kind of globe there, and a whole bunch of lucky-ish numbers with 7 and 13. Well, don't worry, Sleuth makes his own luck. Today is all about 7 and 13. And I'm absolutely certain we're going to crack it anyway. Shall we take a look at today's puzzle? Let's do that and have a look at the rule sets. Oh, it's not Lucky, it's Luck by Napolitano. And rules-wise, we've got normal Sudoku rules apply. That means place the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, every column, and every 3x3 box. You can see what I mean by the horseshoes that are drawn in each, I say each, in a few of the boxes. Then we have digits on arrows summed to the digit in the arrow's circle. So, for example, if you imagine that these two cells are 1 and 2, their sum on this arrow would have to go in the corresponding circle for it, which would be a 3. That would be the same for all of the arrows and circles. Then we have, within a cage, digits do not repeat and sum to the total given. All cages sum to 7 or 13. So, in this particular case, the 13 is very obvious. These two cells are part of the cage. The sum that it needs to get to is 13. One option, for example, could be 6 and 7. That would be absolutely fine. And when we don't have a cage total, it could be either or. So this could be 7, such as 3, 4, or this could still be 13, such as 5, 8. It's up to us to figure out which is which. What it clearly isn't is a different sum like 2 and 4. That is a 6. That doesn't work in any of the cages. It does say all cages do not repeat, as in within the cage digits do not repeat, but as far as I could tell, all the cages are either the same row, same column, same box. So there's not something for us to worry about. So that's all the rules we have for today. I don't see any clover leaves, so we're going to have to make our own luck here today. As always, if you want to play along, link will be in the description down below for you to do so. And with that said, I'm going to restart the clock and see how I get on. So I'm just going to think out loud for a second. So like this looks interesting. And then obviously these look interesting. And I think these look interesting because this exact pattern is repeating 3 times. So I'm starting to think there's probably only a handful of ways of doing it, and the fact that there is a 3 in one of them, and you can see the 3 can't be inside the 13 cage, so it's very restrictive about where the 3 can go. And I bet we can probably determine the parity of this cell, and if it's not odd, then the 3 is going to be in here. So that could be one way of going, but the reason I'm also looking at this one is, first off, 4 cells that have to be unique, they're all in the same box. I cannot make this a 7. 1, 2, 3, 4 will get me to a 10, so I know that this is definitely a 13 cage. What I also know where am I going with this? So the minimum this is 6 with 1, 2, and 3. And if I put 1, 2, and 3 in here, which is the minimum I can make it, that is a 6. And that means that would be a 7. Come again? Is that minimum 6, maximum 7? Is that essentially what we're striving for here? What happens if this is 8? Well, that means that these 3 cells to get to 13 have to add up to 5, so that's impossible. So yes, the maximum is 7, and the minimum, of course, because it's 3 cells, is 6. And therefore, the minimum this is 1, 2, 3. The maximum is 1, 2, 4. And the same is true in here. And I'm kind of thinking that this has to be the 1, 2, this has to be the 3, 4. And I'm just trying to think, is there a quick way of proving it? I mean, I can disprove it fairly quickly. So, if I put a 1, 2 in here, yeah, you could see how that will get me to trouble pretty much immediately. That would be 1, 2, let's say 3, that would be 4. And that would get me to 6. Well, that would have to be clearly the 2. No. It'd have to be something like that. So that would be 7. That would be 6. So you can see that this always has to be 3, 4. Why is it a problem if the 1, 2 is outside? Because that will increase the maximum in here. That's the problem, because then this will be a minimum of, let's say that this is a 2. This will be 1, 3, 4. That's at an 8, and this would have to be a 5, and that's impossible. So yeah, I was correct in thinking that this is 3, 4, this is 3, 4, and this is 1, 2. And it was a total distraction because it doesn't actually resolve. So yeah, we are back to the horseshoes for sure. Right, let's think about this. And how am I going to try and demonstrate this? So what I'm thinking is that this side is an even number, because these 3 cells is x, this is another x, that's 2x. These 3 cells are y, this is y, this is 2y. So essentially, whatever this cell is, essentially I'm doing like 2x, 2y minus blue plus 13 is equal to 45. And more specifically, minus 45 minus 13, 45 of course being the sum of all of the digits inside this box, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, as is defined in Sudoku. So 45, take away the 13, we're talking about 32. You take away this digit, I am absolutely certain now this has to be an even digit, because if it's an odd digit, how am I going to get to 2 even sums? And that would be impossible. So this is even, and therefore the 3 has to be in here. And it's not inside the circle because that's a minimum of 3 different cells. Right, so we're on to something here. And this is even, this is 2, 4, 6, 8. I'm pretty sure it can't be an 8. Fairly sure it can't be a 6, because if I even minimize this side, that would be 1, 2. This will be 3, 4. That's impossible. So I am going with, it's a maximum of 4. Don't need the blue anymore. What happens if it's 4? I think I'm going to struggle with that as well. Let's say I can do 1, 3 in here with an 8. And then in here would be 2, 5, yeah. And if I do 2, 3 to get to a 9, in here the minimum will be 1, 5. So yeah, that doesn't work. So this is definitely 2, this is definitely 2. This side is 3, this side is 3. And then let's think about this. So I want to take away the 13. The side with the 3, what are my options? I think if I do 1, 3 with a 6, that would be fine for this side, but then this side is broken with 4, 5. So I'm fairly sure the 1 can't be on this side, which would force this to be a 4, would force this to be a 9, would force 1 and 5 in here to be there. So that could be sorry, I did say 9, for that to be an 8, and this for now to be a 6, 7 pair. And I feel like this is entirely forced. Because, yeah, we've shown that with the 1, this side will be too big. Without the 1, the next digit is a 4, and that is the maximum. So I'm happy with that as a conclusion. And now, because we can't have a 9 in here, we have to use 1 and 5 to get to an 8. Because these are the next 2 available digits. That's the minimum it can be, and it's also the maximum it can be. And therefore, this is 6, 7. And yeah, forced in both sides. 8 and 6, 7. Excellent. Without a 2, this 3, because this could have been 7 or 13. If it was a 7, it would be 1, 2, 4, and that is not possible. So this has to be 13 as well in 3 cells. Now, without a 1, without a 2, and without a 3, that wouldn't work. That would be 15. So there has to be a 1 in here. And then 2 cells that add up to 12. And it's not 3, 9. It's not 7, 5. It has to be 4, 8, I'm going to say. That is 1, 5, and an 8. That gives me a 4 in here. No 4s there. And then 3 more digits in here, which are 3, 5, and 9. So far, so good. Where do we go next, though? So this is, even if this was a minimum of 1, 2, this would have to be 3. But it's not 3, and it's not 4. It could potentially be 5, but it's not 6 or 7. And then lastly, it could be 8 or 9. So this is the full set of options for this circle. Now, 5 is really doable. Yeah, not too sure, actually. Where else do we go from here? We have another 6, 7, which is not this cell. So this is 5, 8, or 9. Is it worthwhile pencil marking? Almost. Gives me a second one in the row, but I don't know where the third one is. But yeah, I'm going to go with it. 5, 8, 9. I guess we have to think about the last horseshoe. But without the 3, I don't know if we're forced in the same way that this is. And I'm half tempted to think about this. So remember, this has to be even. So this is 2, 4, 6, 8. I think we can dismiss the 6 and 8 immediately. Now, if this is a 4, what if one of them is 1, 3? That would be an 8. And then the other side is 2, 5. Again, it's always impossible. And why is it always impossible? Let's just think about that. I could make one of them not use a 1, but then the remaining digits would be 1 and 5 with the 4. So that's always the challenge, is if I repeat the 4 in both of these, I'm not sure I can... Yeah, easier way to prove this mathematically. 1, 2, 3, 5. So these cells are going to be unique, and they add up to 11. Plus the 4 twice, which is an 8, they get to 17. So I get the feeling like I should be able to do this with 8 and 9 if I'm creative enough. The challenge, of course, is because it's 3 cells. Wherever the 5 goes, plus the 4, I've broken it. So yeah, this has to be a 2. Right. The 1 and 3 are not inside the 13 cage. That's a given. Now, if they're both on the same side, the other side would be 4 and 5. So the 1 has to be on one side, the 3 has to be on the other side. Obviously, I don't know which side it is in this horseshoe that the 1 and 3 are. And the next available digits, 4 and 5, if I don't put them, yeah, as such, I think I'm going to have trouble, wouldn't I? Yeah, because if this side is not, if it's a 5, that will be 8, that will be 10. So the shape of this thing always forces the same outcome. Interesting. So this is always 6, 7. This is always 8, 9. And it just happens to be that this 3 gives us direction. Otherwise, we have to do something like that. And that's a full pencil mark for box 3. Like I said, fascinating. And if this is a 7 cage, it's not 1, 6, it's not 2, 5, it can be 3, 4. So I haven't ruled that out. If it's a 13 cage, well, 6, 7 is out, but there's a bunch of other options. Right, let's move on. I'm not sure it's useful yet. So 3s and 4s, you can see how they line up in columns 4 and 6. They have to be in here. Now, the temptation is that the 3, 4 is inside this box to get to 7. I think we need to make sure we know what we're doing here. So the second 108 in column 5 is not going to be either of these cells. It has to be up here. So this is 1, 8, 3, 4. And therefore these two cells are known. That's a 9, and that's a 5. Now, I can't get to 13, even if I maximize this with 8 and 4, that only gets me to 12. And the only way to get to 7 is to remove the 1, 8, that's 3, 4, and this is 1, 8. Fascinating. 1, 8, 1, 8. Right, can I complete the rest of this box, maybe? So what are the missing digits? 2, 6, and 7? No. That just gives me corners pencil marked as such. Then there's another 2, 6, 7, and then another 1, 8, and a 5 somewhere in here, which can literally be just about anywhere. Not great. This side, I have another 2, 6, 7, another 2, 6, 7, and a 9, which again can be almost anywhere. Second 2, 6, 7, a second 2, 6, 7, and a 4. 1, 2, 6, 7, plus 1 and 8. That 2, if I paid attention, gave me a 1, gave me a 2. No 1s. I don't think it does anything for the rest of this, does it? Yeah, it doesn't really. I don't think it does. Just because this side, this column is the 1, doesn't force the 3 into the other corner because we know it's on the opposite side. What we do know is that the 1 is joined with the 5. So given this can't be a 1, these can't be a 5. Now there has to be an easier way. This is a triplet of 1, 3, 4. And with that 1, that is not a 1, that is not a 1, that's just 1. And therefore that's not a 3. I didn't want to add the 2. Then essentially what I have, that's not a 4, is another 6, 7, another 5, 9, and an 8. Huh. In the 6 and 7, so this is quite restricted. This is 2 or 4. Let's pencil mark the rest of this box, I think. This is not a, sorry, the rest of this column. This is not a 9. This is not, so this is not 6. So let's think about this box. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have essentially another 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And it's not 6, 7. And it's not 8 or 9. I think this is a 5. That's a 3. That's a 4. That's a 3. That's a 7. That's not a 5. That's an 8, 9. That 5 has given me 1, 5, 4, 3 with that 3. That 4 has given me 2. That's the only place left for a 4. These are not 4s, and the 4s are joined with 3s. Therefore, these are not 3s. Well, they weren't 3s since I placed it. And that 7 has given me 6 and 7 as well. It's coming together now. That's not 3 or 5. That's just 9. That's a 5. This is 6 or 7. That is a 6. That is a 7. These are not 7s. There's a 7-8 pair here. That 7 gives me 7, 8. We know what this digit is. That's 8. In here I need 6 and 9. That's 9. That's 6. And I don't think I can resolve these right now. Okay. Happy with that progress. Looking across, 6 and 7. Not 8. Not 5 either. That's a 9. Right, I'm sure with pencil marking the rest of this rows, we can probably figure out which ones add up to 9. So this is 4, 7, 8. These are 1 and 2, which just removes the 4, but 7 and 8 are both in the mix. Then these 3 cells are 3, 5, and 6. No 8, and no resolution. Yep. We do need to think about what these could be at some point. We do need to figure this out. Right, so this is not 7 because it's not 1, 6, it's not 2, 5, and it's not 3, 4. This is 13. And it's not 6, 7, but it could be 8, 9 with 4, 5 as such. What about this cage? Not too sure. The rest of this column, we have another 1, 8, another 2, 6, and a 5, which I actually can't place still. Come on, Sleuth, nearly there. Don't stumble. Now, this cell is not 2 or 6, so I have another 2, 6, plus 7, plus 9, I'm going to say. So this is not 2, 6, or 7. That's a 9. Then I have a 7 in here. Oh, 2, 6, 7. That 9, yeah, gave me 8 and 5. Certainly making you work for it. That gives me 7 and 2. That gives me 4 and 8. And doesn't seem to resolve much yet. Not 5. Yeah, it doesn't seem to resolve much. 2, very restricted, but still in an X-wing. Yeah, not seeing it. Okay, keep it going. We need another 3, 4 in this row. This is the only place for it. That means this has to be a 1. And that's an 8. That's a 1. That's an 8. Right. If this is a 7, one option is 1, 6. I don't see a problem with that. Another option is, actually, this can't be 2, 5. And it can't be 3, 4 because it would break this cell. So that would be very restricted if it's 7. If it's 13, I don't see a problem with 6, 7. That would be 7, that would be 6 again. It can't be 5, 8 because this cell can't be either. And it can't be 4, 9 because this cell can't be either. So this is actually fixed. That's a 6. This is 2, 7, which gives me... I broke it. Oh, no. I thought for a second that's a 9, and it's not. That's 6. That's 2. That's 6. How did I think there was a 9 in this column? 9, 8, and that gives me 4, 3, 5, and 1. And what is that digit? 5. That's the missing one. 2 and 7, still not resolved. 3 and 4, not resolved either. I mean, once I've placed that 3, 4 here, I should have just been able to determine that. I didn't need to put the 9s and 8s. Anyhow, that 1, 7 is still not placed. 3, 4 is not placed. Come on. 3, 4 pair removes the 3 option from here. Then I'm basically left with 1, 5, 6, 7. And this seems to be a ton of possible options. That 1 gave me a 7. Gave me a 2, gave me a 7. Therefore, this is a 2. And therefore, this is 3, 6, 7. And it's not 6 or 7. It is a 3, which gives me 6, 5, 3, 1, 5, 4, 3, 7, 6, 4, 3, 4. Right, we're on the home stretch now. That's the 9. That's the 1. And if I've not made any mistakes, that's the 6 for the finish. That's a beautiful puzzle, Chris. I think that is the first one I have played from Chris, and it's just absolutely phenomenal. Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed when you look at the construction here of these boxes that the shape of it is forced, and this 3 basically just allows you to place it and get started, but fantastic. Hope that you guys enjoyed the puzzle and video, and see you back for the next one. Bye-bye for now.